at the core of everything we experience. Thoughts, sensations, perceptions, feelings, memories, emotions. At the core, at the heart of all of that, there is silence. The spaciousness of being, the stillness of presence, the peace, that which is untouched by whatever thoughts, by whatever appearances, sensations, remains untouched. Allow whatever is arising to be as it is. You don't need to know it. You don't need to understand it. You don't need to figure it out. You don't need to fix it. It is not enough for you to rest in deep sleep. While the peace of being, the stillness of being is available to you 24/7. Allow yourself to be this peace. Invite yourself to the transparency of being. Effortlessly, you hear these words. Effortlessly, there is breath at the body level. Effortlessly, there is comprehension. Awareness is effortless. And you are that. Not what thought or memory or feelings say you are. Nothing that appears to you knows you. You know what appears to you. But what appears to you does not know you. No matter how strong the feeling may be, that a thought or a sensation knows something about you. Do not be fooled by giving away your knowingness to thoughts or sensations. The thought may arise, this and that is happening to me, or this or that may happen to me. And instantaneously we feel that in our gut, in our chest, in our eyes, in our neck, in our shoulder. When we overlook that, the thought, no matter what it's saying, is an appearance. And no appearance knows anything about you. But when you are fooled by your own thoughts, believing that a thought knows something about you, you become its prey. And the peace of being is overlooked as you are wrapped up in the emotions and the feelings and the worries and concerns about me, the me that arises in thought. Like an image appears on the screen, and you mistake yourself to be some character in the image. You carry the past along with you, like a pair of old stinking socks. The story that you are identified with. Sometimes you're proud of it, and sometimes you're regretful. And in relationships, you're agreeing with whatever fits within your story and disagreeing with whatever does not align itself with your story. And then you are caught in the realm of good and bad, agreeing and disagreeing. It works and doesn't work. That and this. You imagine yourself to be somebody, and you feel you are somebody. You protect the somebody, you defend the somebody, you justify and praise the somebody. You have a bill of goods about the somebody. You have proof, which are a bunch of stories about the somebody that you say you are. I can tell you the stories. And so you repeat the stories, old dead stories about some character that you take yourself to be. And you don't notice the isolation and the limitation and the reduction, the diminution that you experience when you take yourself to be somebody, no matter how beautiful this image is. So you live in the realm of images and projections, tales and stories. You are worried and concerned about this character. You have plans and hopes and regrets for this character. And you're building better and better plans every day for this character. And yet here you are, this moment, no character. There is no character. Just simplicity of being, just being. No story. Nobody's buying or selling any stories here. And yet here you are. Story free. Ah, so sweet. I don't need an image of you. Not interested. I'm not interested. No image of myself selling it. Not interested. But every now and then, I like a nice story, a movie, go to the theater, watch it play. Love and hate. He loved her and she loved him and she met somebody else. Broke his heart and he traveled to Africa. Drowned his sorrows. And then he met somebody that explained to him something that brought him back to life. We love those stories. Why not? But are we a character in the story? Have to look and see right now in this moment. It's the light of being pure, simple, effortless awareness. In religious term we say God's light or God's grace. Anyways, we don't need words for it. We are it. It being just the transparency of being. Transparency of being in ease, the simplicity of being. That is not definable. Cannot be explained or is not a result of some thought. You cannot fabricate it with your great mind. So we wonder, what is it? What is it? Means what is it that is real? What is it that is real? If you're interested in what is it that is fiction, you can go to the library and read 50 million books written. What is it that is real? Obviously, even if this is a dream, there is a reality to the dream. There's something that is real about the dream. So we come to I. Actually, the entire teaching, beyond the silence, is just I. You comprehend I, you comprehend the silence. Yeah, but you mistake I with the body. You look in the mirror, you say, oh, I. So there is I, the image, and something is saying, oh, I. So there is I, the image, and there is something that is perceiving this image. Which one are you? And then the body, after a few years, is chin starts, the white hair, the eyes with the round lines around them, the forehead with roundness. You say, oh, wait a minute. I am changing. I have changed a lot. I have changed a lot. But the I that is perceiving that image, has that changed? If we were happy, enjoying, celebrating life, celebrating whatever, celebrating celebration, there would be no questions, would there? There would be no questions. Why are we unhappy? What makes us unhappy? Are you unhappy now? But you bring up the thought of my job tomorrow, my partner, my body, my money, my life, my enlightenment, my spiritual journey, my retirement. You bring up any of these, or a bundle of them, and then ask yourself, am I happy? Is it possible to care and be responsible to the body, to the partner, to people at work, while remaining happy? The happiness that we're experiencing now, the peace of now. It's a good question. Because if we experience the peace by coming to Satsang, and then we leave and go into relationship at work and at home, with our neighbors, with whatever, and then we are out on the roller coaster ride, happy for 5 minutes, unhappy for the next 55. And of course, it's not my fault, it's his fault. Everything was okay until he did this, and I've warned him many times before. He's just not getting it. He's just not getting it. What's wrong with it? Say. If our happiness is in Satsang, and once we open this door, we're back in the roller coaster ride, what's the point?
We're not leaving.
You have to talk to Tara about that.
I guess I'm thinking that.
Yes. Well, what makes us leave this unhappiness? It's a good question. Thank you, Richard. What makes us leave this unhappiness?
Because of thinking their character.
Concern about me. Concern about me. So, but you know what? The concern about me, I'm 100% on board with the concern and the worry about me. I am 100% on board. As long as the me is real. Very basic. If it's real, I'm going to be concerned about it. So I'm on board for real concern about real character. But the real concern about the dream character makes no sense. Okay, because I don't have a pet, and it makes no sense for me to be worried about my Siamese cat. I don't have a Siamese cat, but it makes no sense to have a real concern about an imaginary cat. But if I do have a de facto Siamese cat, then I'm okay, I'm on board for being concerned about that Siamese cat. Logical. So let us all be concerned, real concern, about the real me. So you look at the me. And the best time and place to look at this me is right now, because that's what's happening. So we ask ourselves right now, what is this me? And we're not going to deny the me. We're not going to go into some neo-Advaita, oh, there is no me, and it's all, no, we're not going to deny it. We're going to look, we investigate. And the investigation, we do it within ourselves. We don't have somebody else investigate for us. We investigate for our own because we're interested. So what is this me here right now? That's your question. You question from yourself to yourself. So from myself to myself, speaking out loud. The me, my me, is an image, a story. Because outside of any memory, outside of an image, memory is an image, or outside of any memory, it's just this awareness, this aware presence, with this image appearing moment by moment, frame by frame image, appearing within the spaciousness of awareness. And I also, to be sincere with myself, there is a me as a feeling. Okay, well, let's say I'm going to imagine that there is a feeling of I am sitting in the chair. Okay, there isn't that feeling, but let's say that there is. So, hey, there is a proof. There is a feeling that I'm sitting in a chair. That's a proof of the me. So it must be real, because that feeling is real. 20 seconds later, now I'm feeling that, oh, gee, it'd be nice to have some chocolate ice cream after satsang, Where is that feeling that I'm sitting in the chair? When there is the feeling that I want to have the ice cream, or is a feeling that, oh, darn, it's straight in my back, right? It's shifted. So here is a reality. Here is a me that was real as the feeling, I'm sitting in this chair, now the feeling ice cream, next feeling my back. Here is a reality. Look at it. The me that is real is shifting from second to second. Can you, what is the expression? Grog? Can you grog a reality that changes from second to second? What sort of freaking reality would that be? You can call it shifting mentality, but you can't call it reality. Right? Because if it's real, it has to be real, the same reality. What is it that is real? Because I want to have real concern about something that is real. Makes no sense to have concern about something that's just shifting from second to second, shifting. That would be some sort of weird psychedelic experience. Right? That'd be like, hey, you know what? When is this trip ending? So we all feel, hey, when is this freaking trip ending? Let's be real about it, Well, we have a way of covering it up. We cover it up. We say, oh, yeah, I've got a good job, yeah. Oh, yeah, my partner, oh, yeah, we're good. Oh, my car, oh, yeah, Billy, you got a new car. Oh, we're covering it up. See, we're covering it up. But below that veneer is a bad psychedelic experience we're having. It's not working now. Why? Because we're having real concerns about something that is constantly shifting, we're freaking out. A real concern about something that is not real. In some teaching they say, well, all your concerns are not real. But that's jumping. That's jumping. In fact, we have real concerns. You know, when you're having when you're having a heart attack because of stress, don't have somebody tell you, oh, well, it's not a real concern, nothing's happening, you know. No, it's a real concern. You're having a heart attack and they're pumping you and they're going boom, boom, boom. Hey, Joey, wake up, can you hear me? It's a real concern. But it's a misplaced concern because you're being concerned about something that is not real. The number one concern we have is about me being the body. You know what? If you have real concern about the body, you're doomed. Because let me tell you what, this body is doomed. Yes, it is doomed. Bodies are doomed. But mistaking yourself to be the body, I'm saying mistaking, maybe I'm jumping. Taking yourself to be the body is a mistake. Because the body appears to you. Well, okay, in deep sleep it's not there, but it appears to you right now, for example. Let's not dance around it. Let's go straight to it. Okay? The body right now, if it's real, it's here right now. What is your experience of the body right now? Your experience of the body is as a sensation, bodily sensations. I mean, mostly bodily sensations, right? Feelings, sensations, and perception. You can sort of, you see your freaking legs and hands and stuff, you know. You sort of, you know, you look in the screen and say, oh, you know, this is a body. You see an image. So there's also images. You look, it's a perception. So you experience the perception of the body. And of course, you also have an image, abstract image, which is a thought image of the body. A really beautiful one has beautiful, you know, things and whatever, shiny, it's, you know, in most cases. In some, it's bad image, but it's still an image, right? So when you ask yourself, and you have to be sober, because if you want a story, well then you're in the wrong room here, because we're not about stories here. We're being sober. We're looking straight on, right on, directly at our experience. What is my experience of the body? If there is a body, then there is reality to it right now. So ask myself, what is the reality of the body right now? Bodily sensations, images, feelings, memories, and perceptions. Perceiving. Now, the question that arises, which is maybe you may be interested in the question. I perceive the body like I perceive this table. I sense the body like I sense this cold. No, it's not that cold, but you know, that cold sensation. Am I the table? Am I the sensation? Am I the perception? Or am I that which is, let's say, aware of the body, the sensation, the perception? I'm not going to deny the awareness of the hand. When I say, oh no, there is no hand. Oh, there's no hand. Hand is a concept, you know, so there is no hand. No. There's no problem with concepts, but there is something we call a hand. Here it is. It's not this, it's this. But am I something perceived? Whether what is perceived is a thought, sensations, or mentation, am I something perceived? You need to look. We do not deny the body. It's a perfect instrument. Without the mechanisms of the body, there would not be these words spoken, the vocal cords and the perception, whatever the brain is functioning there wouldn't be this, like without the computer, the video card, the CPU, whatever it is, it's in that computer, there wouldn't be this image. But is it the body that perceives? What is it that perceives? Simple question. I perceive. Yes, 10-year-olds. Yeah, I see the tree. Oh, yeah, I perceive. I perceive the body. I experience this perception. I perceive the oak tree. I perceive the palm tree. I perceive the holly tree. I perceive this thought. The primary identification we have is with the body. And from then on, it's down here. Right? I mean, we're looking for the elixir of eternity, for the body. I think we got into what, maybe 110 years or something like that, 120 or 130. Mechanical arm and hip replacement, the left knee, and then the pills, the pills. There is a freedom from ignorance. Via grace, via your contemplation, via your saying yes to God's invitation, to grace's invitation to awaken. There is an end to misery, an end to ignorance. And awakening to your true nature. It's your inevitable destiny. I think, again, I must have messed up the Zoom thing, but what else is new? And Zoe is here. Hello, Zoe. Somehow I must have opened 2 windows. I don't know what I did. Anyways, if there are any questions.
Do you consider consciousness as the same as awareness?
Yes, is consciousness the same as awareness? In my sharing, I use the word consciousness and awareness synonymously. That's just one word. Sometimes I say consciousness, sometimes I say awareness. I use the term, yes, interchangeably. One could say that the term consciousness refers to both awareness, meaning knowingness, and beingness, the I am. That consciousness refers to both awareness and beingness. So sometimes in the sharing, I speak about awareness being one aspect of consciousness and presence or beingness being the other aspect of consciousness. But most often I use the terms synonymously. In the in the statement, Sanskrit statements, Satchitananda, which is a sort of the summary of the teachings, if you want to sort of put it that way. Sat refers to presence or beingness, which is the I am, and Chit refers to awareness or knowingness, and Ananda, the bliss. So consciousness is Satchitananda, meaning knowing presence. It's a knowing presence, a bliss, the bliss of knowing yourself as this knowing presence. And the bliss is the perfume of Satchit, which is the bliss, Ananda, is the result of knowing yourself as this knowing presence. A knowingness that is not coming and going, an established knowingness. Once you know yourself beyond any equivocality as Satchit, then it is what is referred to as Sahaja Samadhi, which is the Samadhi of the self, of the absolute. But I do use the terms synonymously. So you have to be careful. In some of the writings of some teachers, they refer to, they distinguish between awareness as conscious. They use them differently. For example, I think Nisargadatta, in his book I Am That, and in his teachings, he used the term consciousness and awareness differently, which leads to some confusion sometimes when you're reading teachings, when you're reading the Ramana Maharshi, and then you're reading Nisargadatta, and then you're reading Francis Lucille, you may get confused about, what it may seem to be two different teachings. And when you are with a teacher, there is a consistency in the teacher's expression, in their teaching. There is a consistency in their teaching. And so you can comprehend the teaching by looking at the comprehensive teachings of the teacher. And sometimes when you listening to other teachings from other teacher, it may complement your understanding, or it may bring some confusion.
Thank you.
So,
I hesitate to ask this question again.
you hesitate, yeah. Okay, no. It's everybody's question always.
I know, but it seems that it's always the same question that I ask. So the body is miserable, and you know that, and the I knows that it's not the body.
Yes.
How do you shift?
How do you?
I mean,
if
I kind of know the answer, but practically it's very hard for me to apply.
Well, if you know you are not the body, because that wasn't your question. You said there are issues with the body, but I know I am not the body. If you know you are not the body, then what is the problem? What is the question? What is it to shift? There is nothing to shift. You're good then.
There is nothing to shift,
You're good.
But you keep getting lost.
Oh yeah, because it's the body is a complex machine, and we do our best to give it the best treatment, the best remedy, the best cures, etc. So we get lost in what is the better application for the body. It's like you try this, it doesn't work, then you're trying that, it works a little bit, then for 6 months, and then 6 months later are issues. And so it's a mechanical process. It's like the mechanic. You take your car to the mechanic, and he says it's a carburetor. It fixes the carburetor. It works for you know, 200 miles, but then it turns out that maybe it's the catalytic converter. I don't know, you know. So, but if you know, because in your question you say, I know I am not my car, I am not the car, I know I am not the body, then there is nothing to shift. You continue to do your best with the body by taking the body to a different mechanic, maybe, or you know, or trying a new thing with the same mechanic, and eventually you get rid of the car. Well, I mean, yes, of course.
The mechanic for me is 24 hours a day. So.
Well, okay. If you have a car that is taking 24 hours a day of, you know, way of speaking, of your concerns, and since I see you here and I've seen you before, you know, here in Satsang, that it doesn't look like it's the right time to get rid of the car, of the old clunker. I would say that you are misdiagnosing. Maybe the car is functioning better than you think, and you're imagining that it isn't. Maybe you are. Actually, I had this problem with my car. You know, Tara, we took the car. You know, yesterday. Yeah, yesterday we took it to Kuhn's, you know, Toyota there, because I kept on hearing it in the car, and I was really concerned that there was that maybe the catalytic converter was gone, and I was sort of concerned about that for a couple of months now. I've been meaning to take the car to the mechanic for a while. It turns out there is a heat shield, you know, between the. It was like a simple thing, you see, but I was imagining that it was a serious thing, you see. So either you are imagining issues with the body, and then you have to look at that. I would be looking, for example, at some of my relationship with my car. Maybe I have some identification, something about this car. It's got to to start the engine. I hear nothing. Oh, yeah, and then there could be some ideas of perfection that you have about the car, and or there is still going back and forth. You know, you're not the body, but then you forget that you're not the body, and you're back into your concerns. Because you could be taking care of your car without feelings, without feeling. Feelings are adding the me. When you're adding a me, like it becomes my car. I don't mean, of course, it's my car, but in feeling sense, you feel that it's your car. You're feeling it, you know. So it's some identification. That's when the feeling comes in. So there could be a back and forth. So I would say that experiment with maybe not taking the car to the mechanic as often as you do. Maybe see if that little tunk that you're hearing, if you can experiment with that. I don't know, experiment with, see if it goes from tick, 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 tick to boom, 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 boom. You know, sooner or later that plonker is going to go to the what is it called, the dump? No, not the dump. Where the car cemetery. Sooner or later, the vehicle is going to go to the vehicle cemetery. No, not tomorrow yet. But what I mean is experiment, obviously, because because it's an issue that keeps repeating itself for you, I would experiment with it. Because it doesn't seem to me that the body, the vehicle is ready to go to the vehicle cemetery. It doesn't seem to me that way. Yet.
Just to follow on that a little bit, it sounded like you were saying, okay, try to distinguish between the real concern and fake concern. So I have a thought or two about how to do that.
Yeah.
As you were talking, I was thinking to myself, how do you do that? I mean, that's
Yes. Is there any specific, you have like a specific example, or just to keep it that way? We can talk about it that way if that's it.
Yeah, so just keep it.
Right, okay.
It helps if you get
No, that's good. It's, how to distinguish between a real concern and a fake concern, or an illusory concern. Is that? Yeah.
Yes.
But there's a simple rule of thumb about this. Thank goodness for the simple rules of thumb. Whenever the concerns are about me, the character, not the body. I'm not talking about the body. There could be concerns about the body because you're feeling a burning sensation in your leg. It's been going on for 3 days. That's not what I mean. Whenever the concern is about the character, the me character, and whenever the concern is arising from the me, which is actually, it's sort of the same. The concern about the me character arises from the me character, because reality is not concerned about the health of Santa Claus. It's not. Right? So whenever as a rule of thumb, whenever the concern it refers to me, the character, it's a false concern. Whenever the concern is not connected with the imaginary character, then it is, I would say, then it would be an observation. It would be like a sort of a seeing. For example, you may be lunchtime or close to lunchtime, and you have friends coming over for dinner. You open the refrigerator, and there is nothing in the refrigerator, and they're coming for lunch in 2 hours. So that is not a me concern. That is sort of an observation. I wouldn't even call it a concern, but it would trigger the thought, okay, I need to go shopping quickly. But if you open the refrigerator and you say, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? And, whatever, you get into the me character story and feelings, then you've drifted into La La Land. And when you start looking at the panorama of your thoughts and feelings, you will find that we often drift into La La Land.
Sure.
This is quite different from, taking care of business, taking care of attending work in a timely fashion, taking care of your car, taking care of your relationships, and which is more sort of a noticing of what's needed, and you do your best with that without the concern. What happens in our life is that we notice, for example, we need to do this and that, we need to work, whatever it is. And we do that, and then we add on to that the concern. Oh, what if? Our happiness, our peace becomes dependent on the choices that we make. When our peace is dependent on the choice that we make, then that raises the stakes quite a bit, because you make the wrong choice and there goes your peace. We're not talking about trivialities here. But when you make a choice without any without your happiness or anything being dependent on that, you're doing your best. You're doing the best choice possible. You know what? We don't have a crystal ball as a body mind. We make the best choices we can. Later on, realize, oh, in hindsight, I could have made a different choice. But at that time, you didn't have the clarity to see all that, or you were lacking information, but you got it an hour after you made the choice. And now you're blaming yourself, making images of yourself as being a bad decision maker, bad provider, blah, 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 blah. And all that is an add-on, you see. So there is such a thing as being a responsible, meaning a responding to whatever the situation is, the best we can. Sometimes the best response is no response. So we pray, And the best response with the negative emotions that arise is no response. Because negative emotions, they have to do with me, the dream character. I should have, he should have, she should have. It's all La La Land stories. And we get into the negative emotions. The best response with negative emotions is no response. No response, and the contemplation of, at that moment, I have abandoned myself as awareness, and I've assumed myself to be a good person or a bad person. And that's where the emotions come. They always come with good and bad. And good and bad is the thought. It's about me and him, me and myself. The better me, the worse me, etc. But in the absolute, there is no good and bad. In the absolute, there is just love. Love, truth, beingness. But when we separate ourselves, meaning via identification, say, oh, I am this. Now we have separated, and we, therefore, the realm of good and bad arises out of this separation.
You once said something, because the identification always resonates with me. But the idea that, because I've always asked about the doing aspect, which is functioning, which is called functional in some sense, and the function in life, etc. And so this, what's helped me is the identification. The suffering is in the identification.
Yes.
And I've suffered plenty. I say I suffered plenty, but really I've suffered nothing. But no, spiritually. But the truth really for me seems to be that really resonates now and can resonate in a practical way as well. And that is that a lot of the doing that has no suffering with it it's usually seems to be a say proper doing, but why not be happy while I'm doing it? Why suffer when I'm doing it? And a lot of the suffering is caused by my identification. For instance, at work, I say, I better do this, I better do that, I better do that. If I don't do this, then that's going to happen, I'm going to lose money, then blah, 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 blah. And there's sort of stress and suffering and mental anguish and so forth and so on. And I've got to be in the future, and I'm in the past because they did this. And so there's a lot of suffering. And yet, at the same time, I could say, I remember this happened, so maybe I'll go ahead and do this and try that. And that's it, and let go.
Yeah.
You know, natural functioning.
Yeah, in functioning, it's a good distinction between functioning and identification. In functioning, there often is planning, remembering, thinking about, okay, tomorrow I need to put together this presentation. So, and that is also part of functioning. But when we add to it that there's something at stake, you know, if dot dot dot, there is something at stake. If this doesn't happen that way, because we don't know how things are going to unfold. You know, we plan and everything, which is part of our work. You know, we're planning at work. We plan, we organize, we communicate, we send memos, whatever is needed, depending on the type of work that you're doing. And that is a functioning aspect. But when we add an expectation or condition of how things should be, or else, then we are in unhappiness. We are in identification. We are no longer just the aware presence, taking care of business. There is a me in the space. The illusory self comes into the space. And you will experience the illusory self as an unhappiness in your body. So if you scan your body, right now you scan your body, it's very important to become familiar with scanning your body. Why? Because we have become accustomed to become numb. There is some way of being numb within your body. You don't notice the unhappiness at the body level. I'm not talking about the story I'm unhappy. So become familiar with your body, how it feels, where there is the tension, the contraction. So the way you can detect your identification versus simple functioning is via the contractions within the body. It's a great instrument, that body, isn't it? And
over the past week or so, there have been moments that are really like outside time, where I'm not identified. There's no me. There's no identification with thoughts, feelings, or whatever, some seconds, some minutes, some time. And then inevitably, there's a certain stimulus that will bring you back to identification. I thought about work or something. Whereas for other people, that stimulus might be different. It's different. It pulls them back into identification. And so I'm wondering if we can speak to what is that pulls us back into identification? Because it's clearly not specific, any specific.
Mm-hmm. Right.
What is that?
Yeah. What pulls us back in identification? You see, the trigger may differ from body-mind to body-mind. Some may be triggered by others being certain in their opinions. And some may be triggered by others not being certain. Some may be triggered by people being liberal, others may be triggered by people being conservative. So the triggers may differ from person to person. Some people may be triggered by some sounds. I remember once being in a meeting with, maybe 25 years ago. It was sort of a similar meeting to this, and I was one of the attendees. And this person was in the group, and I had never met her before. It was the first time I had met her. And I had not said a word to her. We were just sitting, but something as I was sitting, sort of my eyes sort of semi-closed. I noticed that something was in my body. I could feel something was bothering me in this direction. It was sort of in this direction. And I was like, it was very odd. I was sort of wondering about it. And the more I looked at it, I realized that this person really bugged me. It was really bothering me. Just something about her was bothering me. And it was like weird. I never met this person. Never. First. And she was just sitting like, like we are sitting here. But I continued to look at it. And I had a flash. I guess it came through me. Of course, everything comes through us. Of somebody in my youth. That she somehow reminded me of that person in my youth that I had resistance with. And I wasn't even aware of that until it sort of came. It could have not come through. I could have just left the meeting wondering, like, what the heck's going on here? But it came through, and the way it came through was the way she was sitting, and something about the color of her dress. Go figure. Anyways, coming back to, so that although the trigger may differ from body mind to body mind, what gets triggered is the body mind, some contraction, is some sense of something that is being threatened, or there is something at stake. And there cannot be something at stake as referring to nothing. It refers to somebody. So somehow there is like one could say like a dormant me, like a dormant me, sort of doing a siesta, not in deep sleep, just a siesta, and a little noise wakes it up. It varies from body mind to body mind. In some cases, when you open the faucet to put some water in the glass of water, it wakes up. Others need a louder boom, or so the sense of me that is doing a siesta, although we may understand that what I is awareness, that I is awareness, although we may understand that, of course, I is what perceives, and what perceives is not an object. I perceive objects, but the I is not an object, it's awareness. although you may come to the understanding of that, this does not mean that the separate self at the feeling level is dead. It's just doing a siesta. So whenever the me gets triggered, for example, a thought about work or whatever it is, that me gets triggered, at that moment, you are forgetting yourself, what you truly are. And you are assuming yourself to be this person in time and space. And whenever you, whatever the trigger is, doesn't matter, whenever you assume yourself to be somebody in time and space, then the personal concerns come along with that.
Say that. Because I was wondering, like, during those moments, what I was describing, certain thoughts or feelings that pass by, and I recognize them as being from conditioning, certain ones. I'm certain, but and then one feeling will come by and will completely grab me and identify with being stronger.
Yes.
So would you say that that is simply that I feel more at that one versus the other one?
Yes.
Or I feel more at that state.
Yes.
Whenever I have
Now, one of my very powerful vasanas when I was, was my sense of need to protect my brothers and my mom, you see. So any time there were thoughts there was something happening with one of my brothers, and I had 5 of them, so it would get me on the loop. It would get me on the treadmill, yeah. And it varies from body-mind to body-mind. So there are some more powerful vasanas, tendencies, triggers, whatever, where you want to speak them. But that would be more yours than mine. So it may affect you that, I don't know, people are, driving carelessly on the road, and it may not affect me. It may affect me that there is people on recycling. You may not give a damn about that. What? Just giving some simple examples. So there are particular structures that we're working with. Remnants of identification we're working with. But what's important to understand is that as you continue your contemplation, which is the contemplation always of truth, of what is real, which is the discrimination between what is real, which is awareness, and the me story. We all know me stories, damn it doesn't. But as long as you continue your contemplation of your discrimination, that these, what used to trigger you, you will find over time, it may not happen right away, but you will notice over time that it triggers you less and less frequently, and also with less and less intensity.
So the sort of acceptance of a certain kind of suffering spaces is somewhat hard to do. And I guess what I sort of hear too is that it's clear that you can't say with any certainty that there's any evolving going on at all. And that essentially to attempt to do that is to create a certain kind of obstacle
Okay.
within the flow of consciousness. I mean, in other words, one can sense from moment to moment, but it's not a sense of having any certainty about any sort of mastery. It's just observing what's there, and even an appreciation, joy.
Yes, but
it's not. I'm simply saying that mind gets out of the picture.
Yes,
That's the important thing.
Yes, mind gets out of the picture, and also in hindsight, you could, maybe one could say that, okay, you can recollect, for example, getting all worked out by, for example, situations at work, and you may notice that, well, that's not happening anymore.
Right.
In fact, I would say that mostly I'm okay. Mostly I'm okay. While you can recollect that, oh no, you were a basket case a few years back, talking generically, of course. So from that perspective, you can say there is progress,
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's always about what's happening right now. You say,
right. It's
Yeah.
not for you to conclude, but it's just to observe.
yeah, and it's okay. So for example, I noticed that I used to be very very easily triggered in the past, and I'm no longer that way. That's nor here nor there. It's just that's how it is. You say. So yes, there is the path takes you out of the woods into the clearing, and at some point there are no more woods. It's just all clearing.
It's light years away from having to prove anything or having to be some struggle with somebody else or even imagination that they need to recognize that you've accomplished things. That's sort of stuff.
No, yeah, I mean,
circular trick.
right.
No.
Whenever there is a me and a them, or I should recognize, or they should recognize, whatever. Whenever you are in that sort of conversation, at that moment you're just choosing to play the game of me and them, or me and you. But it's a dangerous game to play, because we believe it. You get on the stage, you say, I'm going to get on the stage and I'm going to play Othello. Before you know it, you forgot that you're Jack, you're not Othello, and now you're living as Othello, playing the whole drama. So it's a dangerous game to play, and it's unnecessary, and it serves no purpose whatsoever outside of trying to fix my feelings, and good luck trying to fix your feelings. It's a dead end. Yeah. Our true nature is peace and happiness. It doesn't become more peaceful or more happy. It's like the sky is infinite. What we call the sky is just a word. It's just, and the clouds, they don't obstruct the sky. The sky is unobstructable by clouds. Like the sun is shining eternally, and as a metaphor, we say. As our true nature is the shining light of awareness, you say. In religious terms, they say God's light or God's truth, they say. And it's important to come to realize that I am that. The I is not a personal I. I is God's I. It's God's I. The I that hears His words is God's I. You are that. You are that. Thou art that. You have no choice about it. That's how it is. Your choice is whether to recognize it or not. But that's how it is. You have no choice but to be I think in Christianity they say God's children, but it's just a metaphor, that. You have no choice about it. There is no devil. There is no devil. There are no devils, children. Yeah? You play the game of the devil by ignoring what you are, ignoring yourself. And the way to recognize yourself is by not going downstream. Do not go downstream. Downstream meaning down into the story lane, into the history lane, or her story lane. Don't go downstream. Remain as you are. You are the source of being. Okay. Namaste. Beautiful. Okay. Okay, Zoe. Lovely to see you, Zoe. So this will
Thank you, Magdi.
okay, Zoe. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened, with the Zoom, but we'll figure it out sometime.